Alright, so we are going to do another video here, translating sentences into equations and then solving. So if we're going to translate sentences, remember we're going to look for that equal sign. The equal sign separates and conquers that, that sentence so we can translate a little bit easier. So there's our is statement. Is going to be the equal sign. Anytime we see is, we're going to look for that equal sign. Here's integers and even integers. We did some problems with that. And here's some problems here that we're going to maybe take a look at. If I take a look at this one, sum of two numbers is 16, difference between 4 times a smaller number and 2 is 2 more than twice the larger number. Wow, find the two numbers. Okay, so we're talking about, I guess, let's see, we've got larger numbers and smaller numbers, so let's go with x and y. Let's just say define, because sometimes we have to define our variables, x equals smaller number, y equals larger. Okay, and let's see what we can do here. I'm going to use blue to take a look at my first sentence, because that first sentence is going to give us an equation. Sum of two numbers is 16. Well, here's my is. Sum of two numbers is 16, so I'm going to say is 16. Alright. Well, now the sum of two numbers. Here's the sum of two numbers. Oops, sorry. Sum of those two numbers, x and y. Sum, we could say the sum is 16. Sum of what? Two numbers, x and y. Alright, sounds good. So now we're going to go to red and black, and we're going to say the second sentence is going to be a little bit more involved, but still doable. Difference between 4 times a smaller number and 2 is, oops, you know what, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to say is. There's my is. That separates our equation. So there's my equation right there. And I'm going to just translate the first part. Difference between the 4 times a smaller number and 2. Alright, well, difference is, the subject of the sentence is difference. So difference is, okay, so I'm going to put difference there. Between what? 4 times the smaller number. Okay, 4 times the smaller number, x. The difference between 4 times the smaller number and 2 is equals 2 more than, I'm going to change colors here. I'm going to go to 2 more than twice the larger number. Alright. Let's start with twice the larger number. Twice the larger number would be 2 times y. And this expression, this black expression, 2 more than twice the larger number. Well, here's twice the larger number, and 2 more is our equation. So there's our equation. There's our two different equations. I got a red and black one on the bottom. I got a green and blue one on the top. And we've got to solve. We've got to find these two. We've got to find the x, the smaller number, y, the larger number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to change to blue. I'm going to take the top equation and then translate that and say, well, x plus y equals 16. I'm going to say that I'm going to solve for one of these variables. I'm going to just subtract y. And I'm going to say that x equals 16 minus y, because now I can take that x and replace this x here in the red and black equation and use a y. So I'm going to take this equation here. I'm going to change my color here to, oops, sorry, change it to red. And go right down here. I'm going to say now that 4 times x, well, instead of x, I'm going to call it 16 minus y. I'm going to call it x. 16 minus y. The rest of the stuff is going to stay the same. Minus 2 equals 2y plus 2. 2y plus 2. And all I'm doing is taking this equation here, the red and black one, rewriting it down here, but instead of using my x, I'm going to use 16 minus y. And now we've got one equation, the red and the blue equation, that has just a y in it. So now I'm going to solve. So 4 times 16, first step for solving is clear parentheses. 4 times 16, 64, minus 4y, minus 2 equals 2y plus 2. Do the middle school dance. Before we do the middle school dance, I suppose we combine like terms over here. Negative 4y. 64 minus 2 is plus 62 equals 2y plus 2, and I'm solving as an equation now. Do the middle school dance. Numbers to one side, variables to the other. Variables move to the right. We'll move plus 4y, plus 4y. Try to keep things in columns as much as you can. This becomes 0. I've got 62 equals 6y plus 2. I subtract 2 on the right, subtract 2 on the left. Keep the kids happy at Christmas time because they're equal. You got to treat them equally. 62 minus 2 is 60 equals 6y. I don't want to know what 6y is. I want to know what 1y is. So divide by the coefficient. 6 divided by 6 is 1. So I got y on the right side. Left side is 10. Y equals 10. Almost done. Y equals 10. Now I'm going to go back up in here into any of these equations. Substitute y equals 10 and find an answer. I'm going to say, let's see, if I know y, I'm going to take this equation that's been modified from this equation. You could substitute y into here or y into here because they're both the same equation. But I'm going to say that x equals 16 minus y is 10, 10. X equals 16 minus 10, 6. There's my solution. Smaller number x is 6. Larger number y is 10. Let's see, difference between, let's go back up here in our, we're going to assume that our sentences have been translated correctly into math statements down here. So I'm going to say x equals 6, and y equals 10. Let's see if it makes sense. 6 plus 10 on the left side becomes 16 on the left side, equals 16 on the right side. That one's correct. If we go to the red and black equation, 4x minus 2, x is 6. 24 minus 2 on the left side becomes 22. On the right side, 2 times y, 2 times 10 is 20, plus 2 is 22 on the right side. So our solution here is correct, and we're done. So there's another idea of translating into equations and then solving.